Alright, so it's about 41 degrees. That's kind of my threshold for when I get kind of cranky and cold. So I'm gonna heat up some water and warm up my coffee or make a hot chocolate or something. What I'm actually doing in the meantime, though, I've already shut the propane tank off and I'm just burning off the gas that's left in the line. I figured, hey, rather than opening the line and venting it, why not heat up some water at the same time? So what I've got, Gas One is the brand name. It's a T fitting or a Y fitting, I guess. Y splitter is what they're calling it. So this end will thread onto the tank, and the opposite end, which is cold, has the same as what's on the tank. So the idea is, hang on a second, I'm going to shut my stove off here. This end threads onto the tank, and then we've got two of these which are the same fitting as the tank. Alright, so let's just try that out here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this with the stove and also my Mr. Heater Buddy Heater, right? So this way I can get two things running at the same time and not have to change them back and forth all the time. Now the first thing I'm curious about is if I have to leave both things connected at the same time. It looks like it's got a valve in there. I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hook up the stove to one. This is a adapter hose that lets you run from a 15 or 20 pound or whatever full-size tank on one end, and it connects to a 1 pound canister style hose on the opposite end. So I've got one of these hoses for the stove and one for the heater. So I'm going to just crack this open and see if I can hear it hissing out of this side, which it probably will. I don't remember reading that or not. Because that would be kind of handy, is if you didn't have to have both things hooked up at the same time. Otherwise you got to undo both of them, right? So let's just do, it'll be a hiss if we got, I don't have any of the open flames going, so. I heard a little hiss while it filled the hose. I don't feel anything coming out of that. So in theory, that should be a quick disconnect that would allow you to disconnect the device and not vent gas, all right? So we'll just leave it at that for now. On this end, get the twist out of my hose. All right. Hook up the heater on the opposite one. Now we can run two things at once. Found this on Amazon, the Y fitting, and it'll work with any 15 or 20 or bigger tank, and just lets you run two things at once. Now we can run our heater and finish heating my water. Whoosh. Now if this looks slightly different than normal, it is. Come on, you can do it. There we go. It's looking a little better. I built this metal piece, two reasons. One, this was in the old camper shell where this ended up having to be right up against the side, and I was concerned about heating the bubble wrap, and this kind of tended to deflect the heat away from it. And this is still kind of a work in progress, but this here is a speed control, and I've got a computer case fan in there, and so coming off of that, just kind of jam a wire into one of my Bosch 12 volt lithium batteries. And what that does, the Mr. heater by itself is a good radiant heater, and it does get convection, the heat comes up off of it. But in a fairly open space, especially in this house right now, which is uninsulated and all my vents are still open, and at 41 degrees, I'm losing a lot of heat out through the ceiling vent, right? But with this thing shining towards me, you feel the heat, like radiant heating. But with the fan going, it also blows some of the heat because you get these vents on the top. So I can feel the cold air blowing from the fan, and it's blowing the heat out towards me. So that works out pretty good. That was a welding project I did a couple years ago. Bunch of scrap metal left over, hacked it together. Kind of ugly, works pretty good. No apologies. But I've always thought that, you know, these heaters should have had a fan option on them. So there you go. I finished heating up my water on the stove. And now I can run them both off the same tank at the same time. Cool. Yeah. For me personally, one of these 15-pound tanks lasts me, geez, well, I'll put it this way. I can run my little stove for about a month on a 1-pound canister. So that 15 pounds should last me the whole year if I was just running the stove. If I'm running the heat a lot, it'll last me about a month off of 15 pounds. All right. I've got 3 of those tanks, and so what you do is it's about $45 to buy the tank. When you need to refill it, you just take it back to like Walmart and you exchange it. So you give them one tank and they give you a full one, and then somebody else fills them after the fact, right? So tank exchange is what they call it. It's about $15 for 15 pounds, so $1 a pound to exchange it. It's actually a little bit less, but that's, you know, good rough numbers. And it's pretty quick. You know, the hardest part is getting them to get the manager that has the keys to open up the thing. All right. At the Sam's Club, I've seen now they've got an automated machine, so you can just swipe your credit card and you put your tank in, and then it gives you another tank back, which is pretty cool. So you don't even have to wait for somebody then. So, yeah. Just wanted to get a shot of that on camera just to prove to myself that it works. I can run 2 things at the same time, which is everything I need. Cool.